Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Lexa Paterson, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Flying Officer Harrison Gresham. This evening, we warmly welcome the delegation of senior police officers and members from police jurisdictions around the country, joining us today to mark the event eve of the National Police Remembrance Day. This significant day commemorates all those Australian police officers who have been killed on duty or have died as a result of their duties. We will shortly share the story of driver John Paterson Taylor. Prior to his enlistment in the Australian Imperial Force in the First World War, Taylor served as a constable in the Queensland Police Service. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial and students on behalf of St Joseph's Primary School from Narrandera, New South Wales, and the Kingsville Family Homeschool Group. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. If able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed at the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament. Flowers of the forest, wreaths of floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to driver John Paterson Taylor. John Taylor was born on the 23rd June 1877 in Sydney, New South Wales. He was the only son born to John Simpson Taylor and his wife Mary. John grew up in Wagga Wagga with his parents and 6 sisters. He attended the local public school for his education and after graduating found work in the town. In 1907, John married Caroline Vera Coronel at St Leonard's in Sydney. The couple moved to Brisbane shortly after their marriage, where they welcomed a son, Jock Coronel Taylor, in July 1909. In Brisbane, John decided to join the Queensland Police. Recruits were required to meet strict physical and educational requirements and underwent a 3-month training period to assess their suitability. John was sworn in as a constable on the 5th February 1909 and stationed at the Miles Police Station in regional Queensland. Constables typically earned between £8 and £9 per day and were provided allowances for rent, food and medical expenses, most of which were provided by the station. Police took on a range of duties, particularly in a small town like Miles. In August 1912, John ended up in a court, giving evidence after he was assaulted while on a patrol. He was also frequently troubled by a recurring back injury. John enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 17th February 1917, only a few months before his 40th birthday. He spent the first few months after his enlistment moving between depot and reserve battalions before travelling south to Liverpool Camp on the outskirts of Sydney in mid-May. While in training, John was admitted to the camp hospital suffering from back pain. Although the medical officer recommended he be medically discharged as permanently unfit as a result of his recurring pain, John's discharge was never finalised. Instead, he joined the 14th Reinforcements for the Australian Army Service Corps as a private and prepared to leave Australia for the Middle East. Private John Taylor departed Sydney in HMAT Ulysses on the 19th December 1917, bound for Egypt. John arrived at Suez in January 1918 and marched into the reinforcement camp at Mascot to continue training. From the camp, he joined the Australian Army Service Corps training unit in April and undertook a farrier course with the Veterinary Corps training depot. In late May, John was transferred to the Australian Mounted Divisional Train and was allotted to the 38th Company with the rank of driver. The Services Corps within the divisional train provided horse transportation for supplies and played an essential role in supporting the light horse regiments in their fighting against Ottoman forces. Just as fighting in the Middle East was drawing to a close in late October 1918, John fell ill with dysentery. He was admitted to the 7th Casualty Clearly Station in a dangerous condition and quickly transferred through the Abbasia School Hospital to the 87th General Hospital in Alexandria. 10 days after the armistice was declared on the Western Front on the 21st of November 1918, driver John Taylor died of disease. He was 41 years old. John was buried the day of his death in Hadra War Memorial Cemetery in Alexandria. He was the last and oldest of the 30 Queensland policemen to die in the First World War. After the war, an Imperial War Graves headstone was erected over his grave, bearing the personal inscription selected by his grieving wife back in Australia. Beloved husband of Caroline Vera Taylor. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right amongst almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember driver John Paterson Taylor, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over, but in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the Memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.